So coming out of the Revenge of the Taker pay-per-view, you have a fully formed Hart Foundation, which is Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Of course, Brian Pillman's tagging along as well. Bret Hart has a knee issue, and he needs to be quote unquote written out. Written out in the WWF's form, of course, is Bret having a street fight against Steve Austin. Meltzer would say, talk about the proverbial turning a negative into a positive. The April 21st Raw is War show featured a long show angle, the highlight of which was Steve Austin injuring Bret Hart, who was taken away in an ambulance. In a twist, Austin was waiting in the ambulance and got some more licks in, with Owen, Davey, Shawn, and Brian all winding up involved in the angle before the show was over, and it resulted in one of the better episodes of Raw in history. The angle was actually a last-minute decision, probably put together on or around the 18th because of the worst possible thing that could happen at the present time, a right knee injury. It's going to require Bret Hart to have surgery, and he's been the key performer in the WWF in recent weeks with his heel turn, and he actually aggravated this back on tour of South Africa and Kuwait. So listen, he's the centerpiece of the whole thing. He's got issues with Shawn. He's got issues with Austin. He's forming the Hart Foundation. He's a babyface everywhere else in the world, but maybe the hottest heel in the company here in America. And now this knee injury, boy, that just throws a monkey wrench into everything. Talk about the stress and pressure that adds from a writing perspective. When you have sort of, all right, here's where we're going. Here's how we're getting to this pay-per-view. And then the one after that, and here's what we'll do on the next 3 weeks TV. And then, hey man, I got to have surgery. I'm out. Because it's not like, well, we'll just plop somebody out and slide somebody else in. It changes the whole show, right, Bruce?
Sure does. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. You've got all your creative, wrapped around a group, and one in particular who is the focus of that group. And all of a sudden they come up lame, and that's tough. And you have to regroup, and you have to just dig a little deeper and come up with something else, because we're dealing with human beings with real life injuries and real life problems. So, Bret Hart didn't wake up one day and decide to get injured. It was a big blow for Bret that he was like, oh my God, he's on a roll. And then this damn knee incident to happen. So it sucked for everyone all the way around.
Well, I think that's fair to say, but the result is some really great programming. I know we're not covering it in long form, but what do you remember about this special Raw where, Austin's waiting in the ambulance? This does feel like creatively, maybe when you guys were at your best and clicking on all cylinders, at least in this era. Fair to say?
Absolutely. But it was also looking at a way to get everyone else involved, and so that Steve would have people to work with after the fact and continue with the Hart Foundation in a meaningful way. But this was Steve Austin at his absolute best. This was the rattlesnake. This was him doing what he did best.
The next week Raw's in Omaha, drawing a sellout, 6,617 fans paying $88,000 and change. And the show is completely based around Bret and Austin. And this is pretty fantastic when you think about it. Bret's fresh off the surgery, so he can't wrestle, but he's still going to make the shows, and that keeps him on TV, keeps the storyline going. It's kind of a no-brainer, but Bret's a trooper for showing up and clocking in, right?
Man, Bret was there for everything. And, rehabilitating his knee, going around in a wheelchair and just doing whatever he needed to do. So hats off to Bret for that.